I am from the Bronx, New York, not from Charlotte. I've been out here for about 8-9 years. Moved from the Bronx, New York, moved to Baltimore with my mom, single parent home. It was pretty rough. Moved to Baltimore when it was the murder capital. Moved back to New York to stay with my dad, who I had just really met when I was about 14. And my dad got close, found out that he was from the other side of the tracks. I started doing some things that were probably not the best decisions that I should have made in my life, right? So my dad was selling drugs in New York, one of the best, at his skill, right? Pretty good at it. He got arrested when he was 45 years old. He had to do 10 years. I got arrested that same year for doing the same exact thing. I did a year in jail, wanted to get out of the Bronx, and found refuge in Charlotte, North Carolina, where my mother was at with my brother and my younger sister. 2016 happened. Y'all all remember the protests, the riots that happened in Charlotte. Keith Lamar Scott was gunned down by a police officer. And then even in that year, it was just buildups of young black men being shot in the street by a white Caucasian police officer, right? Let's just call it what it is. And this just continued to happen. About 200 people behind us. We were all in the street at first, and something clicked in my brain and was like, this is stupid. We should go to the police department. I'm out there speaking to Mr. McFadden, who is a homicide detective retired. Now he's the elective sheriff of Charlotte, North Carolina. Oh, well, Mecklenburg, right? So Mr. McFadden says, hey man, do you know what justice is? I told him no. He said, do you know what justice looks like? I said, no. He said, do you know how to get justice? I told him no. After those 3 questions he asked me, I didn't have an answer. I kind of bowed down. And I said, well, whatever you know, just kind of show me what's going on, right? The protest happens and we're serious. We're me and my friends, we're like Black Panther 2.0, We're gonna be the Charlotte Community Coalition. Bang! Do police reform. We're gonna start doing new training. So I went to Major Mike Capania, who's an officer I met during protesting. I went to Chief Putney, and I told him, I said, man, y'all need some new training. This is what y'all need right now. He told me, you don't even know the training we got. How about you go through the training before you criticize me, and then tell me what might need to be added. I did that. I said, cool. I'll play this game. I'll do this. In the back of my head, I'm like, dude, I know the training that y'all got does not work. So I go through the training that they have for the police department, do my due diligence, and we create a new workshop for the police department of Mecklenburg County called the Constructive Conversational Team Workshop, where the police department let me pull 25 of my friends in. Like, I literally grabbed y'all and said, you want to go protest? Like mock protest? You want to do a high crime scenario training? Like Keith Lamar Scott is dead right here and we got yellow tape up and there's like 5 officers and there's 5 of us and we can go in. We can tell them exactly what's on our mind, exactly how we feel. And they have to sympathize, empathize, and humanize themselves beyond the badge. But it worked. We took 75 officers and they went through the test in the workshop, and we picked 25 officers with the help of a couple of monitors and people that I looked up to, some educators, and also the superiors of the police department. Picked 25 officers to be the constructive conversational team. This landed Hill Charlotte in a new light. So I'm here to speak to y'all about that, community building. How did we make that happen and pull each other's resources to have a better city, better community? I seen that after school programming might be cool. Now, literally, I want to tell you, I made a strategic plan and there was a program outlined and I vision casted, but I didn't. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I got smacked by God. Bow. You've been protesting for 7 days straight. You better do something more than what you're doing, bro. After that, yeah, later I did a program outline, you know, a budget. All of those things came, which most normal people do that stuff first. I didn't do that. All right. So after doing that, the whole city's like, hey, Greg, how in the world did you create this type of culture, different environment in your neighborhood? Why is the emergency calls down from 77 a week to 7? Why is the crime decreased from 17% in your neighborhood? Why is this happening? And I'm trying to explain to them, hey man, it's just a bunch of people pulling in with each other at the same time. You know, it takes a village to raise a village. That saying actually come into life. That's the only thing that's really happening, but people didn't understand that. So I started telling people there's this thing called empathy that is happening in my neighborhood that is helping with community building. There's this empathy that is happening. I am talking to a bunch of people and they are actually saying, ooh, how can I help? We have a motto at Hill Charlotte: if everybody does a little bit, nobody will have to do a lot. I have a saying that the best resource on this planet is the human resource. I can't make nothing go unless a human is behind it, making it go over there. I need that. I even need a human to make a machine. Like I need it, right? So this is what empathy looks like to me, honestly. This is what it looks like. This looks like CMPD saying, how can we help? The North Rotary Club, Foundation of the Carolinas, United Way, everybody saying, how do we help? So this is what, I want to show you what the lack of empathy looks like. Just real quick, right? This is the lack of empathy right here. So after 2016, everybody knows the Opportunity Task Force report came out. It was a study that Harvard did that showed that Charlotte is 50 out of 50 in upward mobility. That means if you were born broke, hey, guess what? You're gonna die broke. Basically, that's it. So the crescent is the outside of this map. And the wedge is right here in the middle. The red puts the prosperity of that specific area right here. So it's low and affordable housing, employment, healthcare, education, you name it. And this is what the map looks like in Charlotte. So to me, this is a lack of empathy showing that, hey, if I live inside the wedge, I never get the experience outside in the crescent. And if I'm in the crescent, I never even care about anybody that's inside of it. Little thing they call classism. I'm outside my bubble. Why would I care about what's inside the bubble? Yeah, they're struggling. I mean, it'll get fixed. So I came up with this cool workshop, right? And this is where we're all gonna get interactive real quick, where I am saying, here are disparities. And I'm gonna give you a couple of stats from a couple of institutions around the city. We're all gonna break up in groups. You're gonna play the roles of these institutions with the amount of these resources. I'm gonna give you the disparities of each side of town. I want you to get together in groups and try to figure out, how does healthcare pull its resources to help education? How does education and CMPD work together? All of these entities, I want you to play these roles and try to come up with a strategic plan that might create impact. Each side of town is a little different. 1,600 officers are deployed for the city, and there's $50,000 that they use in community programming. I think they might have utilized it wrong 2 years ago. The next one is healthcare. Healthcare, we found out that healthcare put $575,000 into community programming. Where did they put it at? Did they put it in the areas of need? Did they really give the education that people needed? Did they make sure that people were in close proximity of healthcare providers? Changes. The next slide is philanthropic giving, which is like your United Ways or your Foundation of the Carolinas. And then we have one more, I think is education. Yes, so education, 5.5 million deployed for 32,000 students. That means it's $79.38 per student. So how do you deploy that for each student so everybody's getting the correct care? So these are the resources that some of these institutions that play a role in making big community impact, this is some of the resources that they have. Some of us don't know they have these resources, so some of us don't know how they're using them. And if they're going to the right side of town, which matters in my city of Charlotte, where I'm at, it matters. It matters if the east side and the west side is getting left out of the plan, and the north side and the south side is getting all the money. It matters. What's up, everybody? Greg Jackson here. We're at Davidson College, speaking on community impacting, making an ecosystem, and building a better community for the citizens of Davidson right now. But it's real cool. Everybody's working on a workshop. They're all playing roles of different entities, from financial entities, philanthropic entities, education, CMPD, healthcare, and then they're figuring out all of these resources that all of these institutions have and how to deploy them to each side of town.
You gotta get your hands dirty to fix this. This is that dirty work.
Decided to create an innovative community center where people can come in and take classes or learn about new startup ideas and get education.
So I don't expect any of y'all to be at a lower level or low tier of anything that you go do in the future at all. I expect all of you to be room shakers and gatekeepers to whatever you're going to be doing. Remember to stay empathetic. And remember to always pull from other people to make things happen. That's kind of the whole point of this workshop.
So all right, Jalen, let me hear, what we gonna name your city?
The exact solution, but we believe that if we target the educational system, we can alleviate a lot of the problems that manifest in our society. And then you can just hate me on one as mayor, whatever I am.
Yeah.
But as long as my institutional change happens,
Right.
then we good.
Look, Jalen for president, everybody. Yeah.